Well, this is a bit crazy. I mean, we're at this stage in beta, and there's been no tremendous drama about what's coming to the game. Only a few small ones. So what? Dragonflight's actually bringing good things? Apparently its patch cycle is going to be more aggressive? Are good things finally happening? Well, it seems like Blizzard are finally able to pick up some wins. So, now that I'm thinking about that more frequent patch cycle that Ian mentioned, one that's likely supported by this new 100-person development team they've picked up, specifically for WoW, well, here's a few free wins. Show hair. I mean, this one is simple, right? This looks daft. So just give people a checkbox to show hair underneath a helm. Make that something in the transmog window. Now, yes, fixing hair clipping issues in the long term would be fantastic. But right now, just put it in the player's hands. This would unlock so many transmog options that are essentially dead right now. Unlike today's sponsor, buyraycon.com/Bellular, where you will get 15% off your first order. Now, these are the wireless everyday earbuds, and there's no wonder they've got over 50,000 5-star reviews. These are a great package, even before our discount. The look and the feel is premium with a great sweat and water-resistant outer coating. They are absurdly comfortable, and they're super compact in the ear. There's no big dangly stem. And if I was to shake my head around, oh, they passed the shake test, which is great for the likes of sports. Being half the price of the usual suspects is pretty damn sweet, and being in-ears that come with a few different sizes of silicone ear tips, you get brilliant passive noise isolation, which is a must for me. Now, Raycons have got 32-hour battery life and offer 8 hours of continuous playtime. I've been more used to ones with only 4 hours on the buds, so honestly, day to day, whether it is just taking a walk listening to a podcast or using them at work, that is, I mean, just a humongous quality of life. I'm never caught without battery. And if you go to buyraycon.com/Bellular, you will get 15% off your first order. And there's even 5 gorgeous colors to choose from. So thanks again to Raycon for sponsoring today's video. Let's go. WoW's new UI is a seriously great new step up, but there's of course some more work to do, so let's go. Another free win, right, grid snapping on the new UI. Now that might take a little bit extra work because the grid itself is customizable, but still, this will save the symmetrically afflicted minis a headache. What else then? Well, there's simple things. Map coordinates on the mini-map and the main map. Alright, that's simple enough. Then take the personal resource display. Not everybody wants that to be floating around their character, so let's add that to the new UI system, if at all possible, and give it a static location toggle, and then just open it up for some more customization. Who knows, do that right, and maybe people won't feel they need weak auras as much. Then action bars. The usual 5 is fine, but let's add some more, not always because of button quantity, but just for some more flexible layout options with the new bartender-like customization system. Next, here's a new idea. I call it quiet mode. I'd love this. Basically, my idea is to have a toggle that would automatically fade out chat when certain user-selected chat channels aren't active. Because sometimes you just want an uncluttered, immersive UI when you're going about the world. Hell, maybe someone could make an add-on for that. Next, options. Blizzard have re-implemented loads of features, like the player frame in a new modern way, so hopefully that means they've been made with more modern code practices and can be, changed up more, get more options. Frame height, bar height, color options, square minimap. Essentially, take the most core features used in the likes of ElvUI and then get to work putting them into WoW. Because I think loads of people would want the core ELV features, but they want an official feeling UI. Next, frame redesigns. With the player frame and a few others getting a bit of a new modernized look, it would be great if things like the character window matched. Just for consistency. I mean, you can actually see a smidge of this in the new panel headers that they've made. Look, on UI things, I could go on for years, so let me know what features you would want, but there's a selection of great wins they could pick up. Next, I think we should try to merge a few things. Basically, I'd like a preferred mount button that I could just hotkey, right? That would be a little different from the current favorite mount button, because I would want it to be on a per-spec basis. It would be ideal if this could then hook in to transmog or equipment sets. The core idea is that your spec Transmog and mount are things that often go together, so having that being an automated process that players could set up, I think, would be a lovely bit of quality of life. Next, a far more involved feature that many games have these days, and while the incredible Narcissus add-on cannot be beat, I do think that an official photo mode for WoW, not just the daft selfie cam, would be incredible. Take FF14, right? What it has the G-pose. So let us move the camera, simulate a few different types of lenses, choose time of day, choose weather, depth of field, all those things. MMOs are a social experience, and let me tell you, FF14 shows the value of having a feature like this. I mean, why not? For players that could farm out their dream Mog, why would it be bad if they could take an incredible photo with it, you know? Control their emote, control their facial expression. I mean, just look at all these things. These are made possible with FF14's built-in G-pose feature, plus a touch of G-shade. Pretty sweet. Why not have it? Loosen up those Mog restrictions. This one's really simple. Could be a bit harder in practice, but look, the more the merrier here. There are so many cool combinations that just are not possible, and I really think that it's a silly problem. If they fix this up, it would allow for so many more options. In fact, Lost Codex made a mammoth 37-minute long video that dives into this problem, showing just so many cool examples. So open up Warglaives, give us more Warglaives. I mean, look at the Night Elf Sentinel characters that have been in the game for such a long time. Let Shamans Mog a one-handed sword. Warriors can use any 2H weapon. Why not let Paladins and DKs use staffs? Because some staffs would look pretty cool. And here's a few options that Jesse highlighted in his video. By the way, there are so many more than I mentioned here, so props to Jesse for putting that video together. Blizzard, seriously, this one would be a free win. Mythic Plus rewards just don't really live up to Raid in a way, even though M Plus is super popular. I guess at least the Creation Catalyst and its future equivalent, that'll let you get the new shiny Raid appearance in Mythic Plus. But we shouldn't stop there. I mean, if we're not going to do a whole new class set for every single tier of M Plus, would some sort of cosmetic-only set based on armor type work? Or maybe we could do something like the Elite PvP set? I think there should be something there for M+, because it is a main pillar of the game. Then take mounts. I mean, the Mythic Plus mount situation in Shadowlands was just laughable. I mean, just change that hue slider, bam, there you go, a new seasonal mount. So they simply must be better. It would, of course, be good to have some more rewards, though. I mean, tabards, battle standards, toys, pets, little boxes of loot, who the hell knows? I just think that Mythic Plus could do with some love given its newfound importance in the game. Now, of course, there are many other changes that I would like for Mythic Plus. We're going to do a video on that includes a more high-end gameplay perspective. But for me, even things like uncapped VP from the start would be nice. And I'm not the person who would go sweaty and, I don't know, exploit that to gear up too quick. I just think it's nice to feel like you're always getting rewarded. Now, I know that some players could be complete sweat lords in week one, with VP, but I mean, gear stuff is, gated by your rating bracket anyway. I just think it feels better. Now, you could maybe even do it if Blizzard needed a cap. Just have the cap be larger, significantly larger for the first few weeks, then remove it. But I just think something like that's needed. Anyway, what would make M+ more rewarding for you? I mean, look, I'm keeping this video a bit more limited, but a random idea did just pop into my head. A content idea. Take a boss rush challenge, right? It just, portal from boss to boss to boss to boss, do a random one each week, maybe one every season, just a chain of bosses back to back, mix it up, have some fun, make it a bit crazy, who the hell knows? Kind of out of scope of today's video though, so let's move on. Final thing in dungeons, should we explore queuable Mythic 0? I mean, I honestly don't think it would really be a disaster. It could be a convenient way for some players who don't have organized gameplay at the minute to actually dabble into that content, and I mean, what would you lose? Week 1 gearing of an expansion could be a tad faster? There's always a reason not to do something, isn't there? But that's fear. What about the things we could gain? Perhaps your first queued Mythic 0 of the day could have a nice bonus reward like we had in the past with a daily heroic, but I suppose you'd have to be a bit careful to not make it into a daily checklist. Anyway, point is, when you hit that dungeon panel, you just see 35 anima, some gold. For the reward, it's like, oh, well, why would we bother doing this? So they need to think about that. Okay, look, arena's not for everybody. Stress, game knowledge, not all of us want that. Plus, Many people, like me, prefer a big objective-based map where more than just your combat skills apply, right? There's a bit of strategy going on. I mean, obviously there is an arena, but you get my drift. Even in Halo, enjoy the objective-based modes the most. So I'd love to see WoW do a lot more with its PvP. Maybe take a game-type playlist-based approach. I know that sounds a bit like Halo or COD, but why not? Here's the deal. Blizzard seem to have a massively high bar for adding new maps. I mean, it seems like for Blizzard they need to be mechanically entirely crazy and new, and I think that's not great. Because the tried and true game modes are just that. They're tried and they're true, and they're fun. So let's make some more maps for them. I mean, Gilneas is a 3-point capture map. Why not have a 3-point capture map set in the Dragon Isles? And you could sprinkle it up. Do something a little bit different, but fundamentally keep the same game mode. Battlegrounds are just fun, right? And I think Blizzard is really missing a trick with how little BG content they make. Plus, I think that, because Arena is the true PvP mode in WoW, it's how you get Conquest and all that, it's where the rewards push you, so maybe we need to do even more than just add some new BGs to make BGs be relevant. But thankfully, there is a solution to that. Solo queue rated Battlegrounds. I actually am fairly sure that Brian Holinka mentioned something to the effect of them being interested in this decently recently in the Dragonflight interviews. Personally, I do prefer Battleground-style gameplay over Arena, but RBGs, they've always felt a bit impenetrable, plus it's the sort of thing that maybe I'd like to do when I just have a bit of free time, right? And I suspect loads of people are the same there and would love a feature like this. Now, sure, you'd have to make the matchmaking be reasonably smart to have decent comps, but this would mean that somebody, so let's say, I could sit down on a Saturday morning, I could hit the queue button, and I could go and earn myself some conquest. Now, you would have to have it be a solo queue only match-made thing, with only solo queue players, because having a bunch of randos against a pre-made would be kind of insane. But at the end of the day, these are concerns in other games like LoL and Dota, and those companies have solved those problems. As always, PvP just remains an area full of untapped potential. The team has clearly been tiny for a while, but potentially some good news is they have been hiring to expand that team, so, while not for launch, there's hope yet. Straight up, this is real simple. I'd like a time walking mode that feels like an actual dungeon and that offers gear that I might actually care about, and for it to scale an item level as the expansion evolves. Yeah, I want mythic time walking. Now, do you remember the mythic dungeons from Warlords of Draenor patch 6.2.3? Essentially something like that. Those were just really fun and they weren't a time trial. Now, I just think that a feature like this would be more fun than the current ones. I think it could be a compelling part of gearing, and that could, it could just be a more exciting event for experienced players. Maybe throw in a few achievements, some new rewards, and you've basically got a free victory where, for the next while, there's a new, harder version of all of the time-walking dungeons to do, and I think for a lot of people, that would be fun, engaging content that maybe would more feel like doing that content at the appropriate time, so why not? Okay, larger feature, but I think we need it. Old storylines. Scale them, be able to play them, that's what it is. Take the Rathian legendary questline of Mists of Pandaria. It had loads of great content, and it was literally removed from the game. Even though Rathian is a major character in Dragonflight, meaning you cannot experience his story in the game. You just can't. This is madness. My idea here would be to have basically a MSQ for each expansion at its sort of like end game, and you just go through that, and through scaling and a little bit of polish here and there, you just go through the entire endgame narrative. Now, this is an initiative that Blizzard could do slowly over time, much like how the developers of Final Fantasy XIV are updating their older dungeons, trials, and duties to make what is now a vastly superior new player experience, even extending well into their first expansion, with significantly more of that work still to come. With this, you could even build it into some sort of lore walking style feature. You could put per expansion completion rewards on it. You could, using scaling, make it actually feel like relevant content for people to go out and do. Another one, right. Take the Diablo 3 lore pickups and just pump them up with steroids.
Keep your distance from him. This burden is mine to bear. May death bring peace from your madness, Leoric.
Traitors! Even in death, the armies of Condorus will still obey them.
Look, Steve and his team clearly love building an in-depth lore and a world and all of that, but they also, as we know, bloody well struggle communicating that stuff to players. So maybe they need more tools, because they literally just don't have the runtime in terms of quests and stuff like that to do all their narrative. Now, something like this that would be done via completing content or by finding a new type of unlockable out in the world, it would give Blizzard the opportunity to make vastly more lore that is vastly more engaging. They could also characterize this. They could have these lore entries basically be voice acted. Now, if you were doing this from scratch for Dragonflight, you'd probably think up characters from each zone, you'd take a few characters from the Reliquary and the Explorers Guild, right, maybe Bran or something, and, you know, you get these collectibles, and basically, you kind of unlock audiobooks as you go on. Obviously, not that full length. Now, this would obviously not be for every player, but for a lot of people, it would be a fun collectible, and I think it would be a great way for Blizzard to put more of the lore in the game, and that surely would be a positive. Reputation tabards. Here's the deal. Some of us don't like world quests. So what about dungeon tabard reps? We used to have this in Cataclysm. A lot of people loved it because they could just do the reps when they were doing dungeons, but Blizzard felt there were some negatives there that, you know, it just made people want to do dungeons all the time. But I don't think they would be a bad fit for the current game. I mean, hell, I'd have them even work for raid bosses as well. Now, I'm sure that some players would find this to be like a satisfying thing. Maybe they don't want to do those world quests, but they can go pick up the tabard and they can get some of that rep. That then means that after they've done whatever dungeon content they want to do, they've unlocked a fresh new storyline with one of the reps that they've been, well, you know, repping with their tabard. It could let more people engage with that content. Now, I suppose maybe you need some sort of limit in place so that you can't just do every single rep, like right the hell now, grinding out dungeons. But again, that's just the negative to think about. If you're to flip it over, what are the positives we get from that? Well, it would mean that more players would be engaging with the reputation system, and the likes of even the Paragon rep bar, I think, could feel a bit better to people. I think just about everybody who's played Bait is going to talk about this one. Look, dragon riding mechanics on old mounts. I think Blizzard could probably just reuse old animations and then add sound and visual effects on top of them to basically get dragon riding working. Now, this would certainly be work to do, but I think we need to think about this for post-Dragonflight. Of course, give people the option to have old-style flying if they really want, but seriously, dragon riding is so much fun. It's one of those things, I know people are skeptical about it. In almost every case, those are people who have not actually played it, and the people who have played it really, really enjoy it. It would be good if the game could be designed with that in mind going forth, because frankly, it makes the zones way bigger, it essentially does give us flying from day one, and the whole thing's just more involved. It's so much better, trust me. Okay, there's a bunch of free wins. No doubt I could probably make several of these videos, so hey, add some of your own ideas to the pot and we'll see where it goes. Till then, though, that's it for me. Thanks to today's sponsor for backing us up on this video. Check them out down below. And with that said, I'll see you next time.